Sports School is brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
Now, Greg, your first 5 points were really data-driven, a lot of research.
Yeah, pretty much.
The second 5, from the rest of the top 10,
Yeah.
a little bit more...
Yeah, a little more idea-based and maybe not quite as much research as you'd like, but it gets to think about some possibilities. So, we can do the second 5, but they'll have a little more of an idea-based approach.
Number 6, counting up to 10. Corn hybrid selection maximize the use of the OCC trials.
Yeah, so 6 is pretty still data-driven. So the OCC trials are ran every year by the Ontario Corn Committee. There's about 22 sites across the province. The data is always summarized annually. It's up on gocorn.net. Gocorn.net. You can click on a link there and it'll show you the performance trials. And there's some neat ways of looking at it. There's a spreadsheet that you can sort of resort depending on how you want to look at the data. You want to look at a particular company or a particular site or the combination of sites in a given year. You can resort those. It's a nice feature. The other thing that's on gocorn.net is the hybrid selector. And it's a little bit of a tool that integrates the OCC data. And so what you can do there is you can say, well, I'd like to look just at 2013 data, but I'd like to look at Table 4, Table 5, Table 6, all of southwestern Ontario. And it'll summarize those and show them to you. The other approach you might take is, well, no, I'm looking for multi-year data. So you can click on 2011, 2012, 2013, click on what area you'd like to look at, and it'll bring together all of the tables, all of the trials where those where hybrids competed head-to-head, but across all 3 years brought together in a summary. It's a nice tool to look at sort of combining the OCC data in different ways.
Number 7, be aware of corn spacing uniformity.
Yes. So a hot topic for 20 years now is the understanding of plant stand uniformity. And there really are 2 approaches to looking at uniformity. Uniformity can be talking about the spacing, that is it picket fence that every plant is 6 inches apart from its neighbor? The other way of looking at uniformity is that you're not so concerned about the spacing, but you're concerned that every plant is identical to the one beside it. Our research would suggest that having every plant identical to the one beside it is much more important than having every plant spaced identically. And so my tip on this front really was to not put all the eggs in the basket of your planter in terms of trying to create uniformity in the plant stand, right? But to think about your tillage practices in the fall, how uniform do you leave that seed bed? Does your cultivator got a good set of harrows on the back of it? Just a whole range of things. Do you spread the residue evenly at the back of your combine? Is the inflation pressure on your tires correct? All of those things may have significant impacts on plant stand uniformity that your planter's not going to fix no matter how many hundreds of thousands of dollars you spend on it.
Number 8, and is really taking messages from the corn canopy and talking about canopy sensing as limited value, at traditional side dress timing.
Sure.
Green seeker.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to a little bit of our discussion about strategic nitrogen management. We've looked at these tools that view the canopy. Green Seeker is one of them. They send a light down and then they measure the reflectance back. And the idea being that the corn canopy, the size of the canopy or the color of the canopy, could be a clue to how much nitrogen it needs. We're intrigued by that idea. We have some research that's ongoing in that area. Our message or our tip at this point in time is that if you're going to try to use these canopy sensors and you're going to try to do it at typical side dress time, sort of knee high or below, the odds of getting a good signal from those sensors that would give you good decisions on how much nitrogen to apply side dress, I think is pretty low. Where we do see hope in the future would be a high clearance applicator that could go into waist high corn and could have Green Seeker type technology mounted to it. And then when now you're looking at a full canopy, right, that you might do a better job of trying to decide which parts of the field need more nitrogen and which parts of the field need less. So, not giving up on the canopy sensing technology, just trying to throw out the idea that at knee-high corn, at typical side dress with a tractor-drawn side dresser, I'm not sure there's a whole lot of hope for those things improving on what we have currently using. But in taller corn, still would like to chase that.
Number 9, hybrid mixing improves pollen supply.
Yeah, so there's been all sorts of chatter over the decades that have gone by about hybrid interactions. One idea is that if the pollen from one hybrid lands on the silks of another hybrid, there can be a zeatin effect that might boost yield on the receiving hybrid. The other idea about mixing hybrids would be that if you have most of the field planted in sort of a normal maturity hybrid, but you add a significant portion of a longer season hybrid. If you got into a dry year and pollen supply started to get sketchy, a longer season hybrid in that field might improve the overall pollen supply, particularly for the 75% of the field that's at a slightly shorter maturity. So, we ran a few trials this year to try to test that idea. We didn't get a dry year to work with it, but on one of 3 sites, there is still the hope, maybe, that this hybrid mixing might improve pollen supply, might improve dry weather resistance, might give you a little yield bump, right? And so we're still throwing that out as an idea for people to think about.
And drum roll, please. Number 10.
Number 10
is integrated strip tillage.
Yeah, so strip tillage has been one of my favorite topics over the years. We are intrigued by the idea of having more soil conservation, more residue left on the soil surface. Most of our work was driven by fall strip tillage, and it has some wins, and in some cases it has some weaknesses. We've also done a fair bit of work on applying fertilizer, particularly the P and K, in the zone, and we did it when we were doing fall strip tillage. Not a bad idea if you're already sort of at a build and maintain level from P and K management, but when we went out into fields that had lower testing P and K, the fall P and K didn't seem to compete very well with the spring banded P and K. And then, of course, the advent of GPS and RTK technology has got us all more excited about what strip till can do. So, we're suggesting, and we'll have a project started up with Innovative Farmers Association this year, we're suggesting that the future of strip till is exciting. But we're going to go to a spring strip till system. So, 1 pass ahead of the corn planter, spring strip till. We're going to put all the N and P and K that we need for that corn crop in that zone. It'll have to be mixed into the zone. We might have to use some poly-coated urea to safen that zone a little bit, right? And then I would really like to have this project be RTK guided on the contour. So one of the things about strip tillage is if you got the strips running up and down the hill and that's loose zone and you get a 4-inch rainfall, there's the risk of it washing out those zones of loose soil where the corn row is supposed to be. We have the technology that we should be able to do those strips on the contour and plant on the contour, and so it's sort of a neat idea. Integrated strip till. Do it in the spring, do it ahead of the corn planter, put all your fertilizer down there, do it on the contour. We'd like to test that idea, sort of the next step forward in strip till approaches, and see what we can show in 2014.
Good stuff. Top 10 tips, great stuff. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go start building bins, right?
All right, build bins.
That's
right.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.